In this lesson, we will learn about the dependency injection technique and the .NET configuration system. What is dependency injection? To understand what dependency injection is, we can start by thinking about a class that uses some other class. For instance, our items controller uses the items repository. When you have this relationship where one class uses another class, we say that this second class is a dependency of the first class. Now, if instead of constructing the items repository object directly as we are doing so far, we receive an instance of items repository in the items controller constructor, then we are injecting items repository into items controller. This is what we call dependency injection. But also notice that the constructor is not exactly receiving an instance of items repository, but instead it receives an interface called iItemsRepository. This relates to what we call the dependency inversion principle. The dependency inversion principle states that code should depend on abstractions as opposed to complete implementations. Let's bring again our class and one of its dependencies, dependency A. Currently, the class depends directly on dependency A. However, we can change this so that the class instead depends on an abstraction, which in the case of C# is an interface. And then we can have the dependency depend on or implement the interface. Why would we do this? Well, by doing this, our class implementation is decoupled from the dependency implementation in such a way that if we ever decide to switch to a different or updated dependency, our class does not need to change at all. The only thing that the dependencies need to do is to implement the interface that our class depends on. So, by having our code depend upon abstractions, we are decoupling implementations from each other. And this also makes our code cleaner, easier to modify, and easier to reuse.